that? We're back. There you go. I'm Steve M3TR1CS. There's your boy. And we are back, and we got a whole ton of energy, and here we go. But yeah, so yeah, here we go. Hey, Triggs, is your mic working? Mic action?
It was not. Jeez. What
there
is
we go.
wrong with me?
Hey,
I tapped the button so that it changed.
We got so much energy that we were off from last week, Tuesday, that we are back today. And how about that? So, boom, here you go. You got us both back here today. Both feeling a whole lot better than we did last week, being under the weather on Tuesday. But here you go. You got us. You got your boy, DJ TRIGGS. You got me, Steve M3TR1CS. Together, we are No Debate Sports every 7 o'clock Mondays and Tuesdays. Boom. How about that? So this is a very, very special night and special show between my Las Vegas Raiders and your boy, DJ TRIGGS, and his Green Bay Packers. So
what are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is we're going to be flying through these games because we are definitely going to get back to this game and have a whole lot more to talk about tomorrow about it. So yeah, I think we definitely got to get a preview of this because this is definitely a cool game that we don't get to do too often, especially in prime time in the middle of our show. So this is absolutely bananas, like really cool stuff. So how about your Packers tonight? What are you thinking the game plan is for your guys tonight, Triggs?
Man, it's gonna be crazy. So I'm thinking, especially offensively, both teams are really bad at stopping the run. I think the Raiders are like 25th, and the Packers are 31st, 30th, something like that.
Wow.
So I'm assuming they're going to try to run the ball with A.J. Dillon. Aaron Jones was called out today or inactive. Yep. But Christian Watson's back, so that should help. In fantasy, our Romeo Dobbs guys are probably going to get nipped a little bit there. But who knows? Love might have a big game. Raiders defense is not too good. They give up a lot.
It's not the greatest, but the secondary is definitely making strides. It is improving. I mean, granted, last week we did break Justin Herbert's non-throwing middle finger, so that definitely helps. But I do feel that if we got our guys like Nate Hobbs out there and Marcus Peters playing at the level that they should play at, we should be all right. So I like our ability to take care of things in the secondary. But that doesn't mean that a guy like Romeo Dobbs or Christian Watson doesn't sneak through, especially in the red zone, and makes a play. So that's where I think things can definitely happen, get a little dicey. And then the thing is, too, is Green Bay's pass protection going to be stout enough to stop a Max Crosby or a Tyree Wilson coming off the edge on either side. That we're going to find out because I love Max Crosby. We'll see what he's got, but I don't know if Green Bay's seen a pass rush like that. So we'll see. It'll be something. But for us too, I think the biggest matchup that I'm most excited about this game is seeing Devontae Adams against Jair Alexander.
See, Jair even I was watching some interviews, and Jair was pretty excited about it. But
yeah,
the Packers have been playing a lot of zone lately. So, and every team in the NFL knows that they play a lot of zone. So, I don't know how much is going to happen. Hopefully, I don't know. Joe Barry, like, I don't want anyone to ever lose their job, but Joe Barry does not need to be a defensive coordinator anymore.
Huh. Yeah, and the thing is, too, I mean, with Green Bay going up against Detroit last week, that definitely got exposed. I mean, granted, Detroit was probably the best offense that Green Bay has gone up against. So that is definitely a thing. But tonight's going to be another challenge, I think, for Green Bay, playing against an elite caliber player in Devontae Adams. Jacoby Myers is healthy. And granted, our offensive line is not that great, but still, I think Josh Jacobs is pretty solid. And he's one of those guys. He's like he always reminds me of like a Kurt Schilling from Major League Baseball back in the day, where it's like this kind of player that gets stronger as the game goes on. So I love seeing that. I love seeing that out of Josh Jacobs, and we'll see how that works against the rush defense of Green Bay tonight. So yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see what Joe Barry has against Vegas, but I think this could be a low scoring game. But I do think that like when you bring up the zone defense, I just think Devontae Adams is a total mismatch against Jair Alexander. I just don't think Jair has the size to match up against a Devontae Adams one-on-one.
I mean, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I'm definitely thinking it's going to be a higher score. I don't see it being low just because the Packers offense can pop the top off of a secondary pretty quickly. And like I said, they give up way too much on the ground. So the Raiders are going to get their points, or at least their chances to score points.
Okay.
But the defense has been kind of bend don't break lately. So
Sure.
I don't really know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's definitely some stuff going. A little bit of shout out to what we got going on with the game individually. I went with a underdog bet of 5 picks and see if these 5 hit. But the plays that I'm making tonight is I am seeing a touchdown out of Romeo Doubs. I love his shiftiness. I love the ability that guy has to make almost something out of nothing with Jordan Love. They definitely have that big chemistry there. I really like that. I'm also seeing on my side of the ball with Jacoby Myers, with all that attention going to Devontae Adams. I think Jacoby Myers is our Romeo Doubs in this game. And I see at least one touchdown coming out of him. I got Michael Mayer coming into play for a little bit of tight end action. 7.5 receiving yards. I think one solid catch should take care of that. I also got Anders Carlson, your Green Bay Packers kicker, brother of my kicker, Daniel Carlson. Got him kicking for 6 fantasy points. If you think it is a high-scoring game or something that's kind of back and forth, I just feel like Anders is going to have a solid night between some extra points and some field goals right there. And then last but not least, I need 1 touchdown out of Josh Jacobs. So if I can get 4 out of 5 of those, or 5 out of 5 of those, we getting paid. Yeah.
Josh Jacobs will score. I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah, I just think he's too much part of an offense. And as much as like our run game isn't clicking like it is, I still think pretty much across the league, outside the craziness of Devon Achane, I think Josh Jacobs is like that next best running back alongside of like Christian McCaffrey out there. Problem is we don't have an offensive coordinator like Kyle Shanahan, so totally different. But Josh Jacobs is a guy that I can totally count on to get it done. So I like that. That's my my 5 picks I'm playing with on the underdog tonight. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Look, let's just put it this way. The Packers have been horrible at stopping the run for since Mike Pettin was there. And so he got fired for the exact same reason. Joe Barry should have been let go last season. And then he comes back and plays the exact same defense when you have an all-pro. You have one of the best corners in the game. You have another all-pro in Rasul Douglas. You have couple young guns back there with Savage, and I just don't understand why you're in such soft coverage.
Yeah, and tonight's definitely going to be one of those nights where you're definitely going to need some solid zone coverage. You cannot have Devontae Adams one-on-one. I even think Jacoby Myers one-on-one is give you a mismatch, and that's why I feel like the Raiders are going to go all in on size and really start to unleash Michael Mayer in this game as well. So you just have this overload of size. Hopefully, even some Hunter Renfrow in the slot, and then Josh Jacobs out of the backfield. And I mean, if we got to go with 11 personnel pretty much the whole game, totally okay with that. That's a really tough lineup to deal with, especially one-on-one. And we'll see how good it is in zone. But yeah, I think we're going to present a fairly tough offense to play against tonight. But we'll see. I mean, for me, I still have my concerns with Garoppolo. I would definitely like Aiden Hutchinson, as wild and raw as he is. But Jimmy Garoppolo for us in the last 2 weeks has thrown 5 interceptions. We have lost both those games. So I don't know how it is for you guys with Jordan Love. I know his completion percentage isn't the greatest, but I don't know if how Jordan Love is with turning the ball over, but we have had several issues with turnovers in our recent games.
I don't. Let me just make sure before I say it. But I don't think he's too bad with turnovers.
Okay.
I think this past week he had a couple.
Yeah, I think there was at least one against Detroit.
Yeah. He's 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, so not too shabby.
Yeah, that's solid. Yeah, that's definitely something you can ride with for now. So there you go. So there's our Monday night preview, and let's start rolling through these Sunday action games.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hold up. What you got there, Triggs?
Who did you pick for this game?
Who did I pick for this game tonight?
Yes.
Oh, 110%. I'm picking the Raiders. 100%. I'm picking the Raiders.
Just making sure you weren't going to be biased or anything.
Oh, yeah. No, I've had my weeks where I've seen like, we're going up against a Pittsburgh, and I don't like that matchup. Or last week against the Chargers, I thought we had a shot in that game. But yeah, tonight against Green Bay, I think Green Bay is kind of a choppy looking team, a team not as good as I initially thought at the beginning of the season. And we are also a choppy team that has several issues of our own. So that's why I kind of feel this game's a toss-up. If that's the case, I'm sticking with the silver and black.
I'm thinking 31-20 Green Bay.
Okay. I'm thinking an uglier game. I'm thinking 20-16 Las Vegas.
Solid.
Yep. So there we go. Those are our picks for tonight for the silver and black against the Pack Attack green and gold. And there you have it. So we're going to start firing off these games so we can get through here and definitely enjoy our Monday night throwdown between myself and DJ Triggs. So good stuff here. We'll go back to last week, Thursday, with Washington and Chicago. And this was a game that I know the whole media of the world, everyone wanted Chicago to lose so they could fire their head coach. They could ship Justin Fields out of town. And ultimately for this game, I just thought that was ridiculous. I've never thought Washington is that much of a world beater. And I never thought they were that much better than Chicago. And considering the synergy that started to take off last week with Fields and DJ Moore against a terrible secondary in Washington, I thought that would transpire again. And my Chicago Bears, and especially my DJ Moore, took care of business.
Wow. I'm just going to say both teams are horrible. Both quarterbacks threw nearly 300 plus yards, or I think Fields had 280. Sam Howell had 380, I want to say. There's 6 touchdowns between the two. They're really bad. Both teams are just horrible.
Both secondaries. I was watching a highlight of Chicago playing defense against Washington, and it is literally like watching a pinball machine. Like you will see offensive players just bounce off of defensive backs and defensive ends of Chicago left and right. It's the weirdest thing. I've never seen tackling like that in my life. Well, actually, we'll go back to like the early John Gruden years of my Raiders where our guys didn't know how to tackle left and right. So I know what it looks like actually. But yeah, it's very weird seeing that, especially from a defensive minded head coach. But the good thing is on the offensive side of the ball, I think Chicago is really starting to take off now. They add their run game to this, and that is a total next dimension with that offense. And they got to figure out a second wide receiver. They do something to take that attention off of DJ Moore. They really got something brewing then. But I mean, just off the top of my head, yeah,
they had a second wide receiver and they traded him for basically nothing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've always heard the Chase Claypool stuff is not positive, so it is what it is. He's in Miami, but yeah, it just is what it is. But yeah, DJ Moore, literally 6, or actually, wait, yeah, it was 5 touchdowns, but you could almost make a case that was 6 because of the play where he ran out of where he allegedly ran out of bounds, but there was no replay, so no one knows about it forever. But DJ Moore is absolutely on fire right now, as is Justin Fields. So really like what they got cooking with Chicago.
So Buffalo, Jacksonville. What do you got there?
Buffalo, Jacksonville. I've pretty much always been high on Jacksonville. I think I've gone down with the ship every single game they've lost, but I'm pretty sure I've picked Jacksonville every single week of the season thus far. And Jaguars took care of business overseas. The jet lag certainly helps out with that. But Jacksonville, to me, just is a more complete team than Buffalo. Their defenses are about similar. But to me, Jacksonville just has way more options and weapons on offense than Buffalo does. Buffalo, it's all Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. If that doesn't take off, they lose. That's it. That's simple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they didn't go all in and get Dalvin Cook or, even Jonathan Taylor when he was out there. Like, they need a running back.
Yep.
And they just don't have any run game. I think Josh Allen was the lead runner, and he only had like 14 yards.
Yep. And that's the thing, too, is like I know everyone wanted to crown Buffalo the Lombardi Trophy and crown them as the best team in the NFL last week. But even them winning against Miami, I watched that game, and that game is just back and forth. It's just crazy wild. There's some wild Miami turnovers in that game. But even Miami losing that game in the fashion they did, I still thought Miami is the better team, and Miami can still win that division. And I've not wavered off that at all. Miami is going to win that division. Next time they play will be in Miami, and I don't think that game is going to be as wild for the Dolphins. They're going to have a much better game plan, much better mindset of what to do, and it'll show.
That's why I was so big on the Jets. Like, the Jets could stop them. They had a shutdown corner. They had
2 of them.
They're great against the run. And like I said, 2. And so, and offensively, they were going to be a lot better. Plus, like I just said, between Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, and Cook, they had a combined 12 yards. Josh Allen had 14. That's horrible.
That is horrible. It's completely one-dimensional. And, I mean, thinking for us back about 10 years ago when Green Bay went X-0 or X-1 with the team they had before losing to the Giants in the playoffs, they were that same kind of pass-heavy offense, no run game whatsoever, and it catches up to you. So, I just don't see what all this hype is about Buffalo. They also lose Matt Milano. Von Miller is only going to be so coming off the ACL injury, so we'll see. But I just don't think it's going to show. Ultimately, Dalton Kincaid is an extra offensive lineman that can catch the football. I'm not blown away with Dalton Kincaid. I know everyone wants to say he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but your name is not Matt Laporta. So, yeah, that's how it is. So yeah, how about
All
that
right,
game?
so the next game, Houston and Atlanta. Why did Bijan Robinson have less touches than Tyler Algier? That doesn't
Hey,
make sense to me.
it doesn't make sense, but to me it does, because this is what Arthur Smith did last season with Tyler and Cordero Patterson. So now they're going to be getting into that mindset where they're about to bring Cordero Patterson back, and they're going to have more balance and more rest for the younger guy. Because ultimately, the rookie is playing twice as long of a season this year than they did in college last season. So he has to find that balance. But when you get to the red zone, it has to be Bijan Robinson, because he has that flash and dash, razzle dazzle, kind of shake and bake that no one else has. Like there's, I don't know, maybe Christian McCaffrey, maybe a Stephon Diggs. Those are, it's a short list of guys that have those kind of moves at a goal line, and can make something really unique happen. So I think that's how you want to acclimate Bijan Robinson. And from a fantasy perspective, if you're giving up middle of the field yardage to really make something happen once you get to the goal line, take it. Like you're not going to just be the 3-down back year one, game after game after game, against especially Houston, which is a tough defense that we're starting to find out. So I like what they got going on with the Texans, but it looked like this was the game that finally Desmond Ridder started to play a lot more solid. And on top of that, and you pointed this out as well, Atlanta has a very nice outside secondary. So having the ability to shut down a Nico Collins and a Tank Dell, and really only opening up opportunities for Dalton Schultz and Robert Woods, really starts to take away that power that CJ Stroud has and starts to make that team more one-dimensional. So this might have been one of the first tough defenses that CJ Stroud went up against. I know he went up against Jacksonville as well, but it looks like he's starting to somewhat fall back to earth. I mean, he's solid, but at some point you're going to find a tough secondary like this that's going to kind of put you in your place.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this game. CJ Stroud's okay. Desmond Ridder's meh. They're just two bad teams. But they could be good in the future. I think they could be good in the future.
Yeah, they could be good in the future. I mean, I'm a little concerned with how Atlanta's going about games. I do love the upside of Houston. I do think both of them have a shot to make the postseason. There's definitely potential in both of them. So we'll see what we got. But if Atlanta were to have good, better games out of Desmond Ridder, I think they'd win that division outright. But that's what it's going to take. But I lost on that game.
Yeah, he's just not good though. Yeah, he's not good.
Yeah, there's got to be more confidence.
What about? Let's go to a blowout. Detroit and Carolina.
Yeah, Detroit and Carolina. This was a home game in Detroit, and you've pointed this out, and it's definitely a thing that Jared Goff plays much more solid at home than he does on the road. Big thing in this game is Amon-Ra St. Brown is still banged up. He was banged up at the end of the preseason, and it's still starting to show up throughout the beginning and the first quarter of this season. So no Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Jahmyr Gibbs, no problem. Still have the hard-hitting force of David Montgomery, and then Sam Laporta just takes the top off of defense multiple times in this game. Even have the same play that they ran in this Detroit game. They ran in the San Francisco game later at night, because George Kittle saw that and was like, hey, my guy from Iowa does it in Detroit, then I'm also from tight end U, and going to make it happen with the 49ers. So pretty cool stuff between Goff and Purdy and Kittle and Laporta all doing the same play on the same day. So pretty cool stuff there. But Detroit, they have a solid secondary. Grant, there's a little more success coming out of Bryce Young, but we're really seeing Bryce Young is trying to thrive with basically just a slot receiver. There's really no threat to him throwing outside. It's pretty much all Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that game was pretty pretty one-sided right away. Like Bryce Young is just not an NFL quarterback. But at the same time, her starting running back is basically nothing. Miles Sanders is losing his job to Chuba Hubbard. Adam
Wow.
Thielen is catching like 10 to 15 balls a game. Like there's no other wide receiver on the team that wants to get open at all. And then the Lions, yeah, they're just doing what they should do. They've gotten better every year. They've added pieces here and there. Williams just came back. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to come back soon. Like,
Yeah.
they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty loaded. They're starting to do the things kind of like the Miami Dolphins are doing. And I didn't catch their game this week, but the game I saw the week before against Green Bay, there were times where they were trying to run some of those routes that the Miami Dolphins ran with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So kind of cool that they're doing that, especially with the Jameson Williams. That guy is definitely the next Tyreek Hill. So this offense is totally going to open up. And for a guy like Jared Goff, especially in fantasy and how he plays indoors, well, the thing that I was concerned with last season was him finishing the year at Green Bay. The last 4 games of Jared Goff and the Lions this season are all indoors. It is Minnesota twice, Dallas once, and I think it's Chicago in Detroit. So it just keeps getting better and better for a guy playing indoors.
So next game we'll go through real quick because it does not matter. Indianapolis beat Tennessee, but Richardson goes down. Minshew comes in and lights it up.
Yeah, he comes in, lights it up, and then Jonathan Taylor debuts and not so hot. But yeah, like I think the big thing here is Richardson's going to be out for at least a month ish. They are pretty much running him like Cam Newton. It is what it is. I wish it would be more like a Jalen Hurts instead of a Cam Newton. But we'll see what happens there. I mean, they have a great head coach. I definitely give them that. Their defense is kind of scrappy. Yeah, I think this falls under the category of you got a team that's okay against a team that you and I recognize as one of the worst between Tannehill and the Titans. So a little bit of action out of Tajay Spears. I like that. But yeah, Tennessee is just a bad football team. And I mean, this goes back to everything we did in the preseason. It just really is a bummer that DeAndre Hopkins is there when he should really be playing for like a Cleveland or a Philadelphia. So yeah, that's what we got there.
So speaking of bad football teams, Miami ran through the Giants. We even saw Tyrod Taylor for a little bit.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's what that team needs. I think they need to just call it and just go to Tyrod Taylor. There are certain teams in the NFL that need to make a change of the guard at quarterback immediately. They are one of them. My Raiders are one of them. I feel it needs to be Aiden O'Connell 100%. I have another team that we'll talk about coming up that needs to make a change in the guard. But the Giants have these really good weapons to throw to, but they cannot throw them. And there's no respect for the run game at all. Matt Breida is a terrible backup to Saquon Barkley, regardless of people talking about handcuffs and stuff. He is a terrible backup. Matt Breida and Saquon, to me, have never been on the same level. I would never compare those two players to each other. So that's how I feel about that. But yeah, Giants are really, really bad until they figure out what the heck they're doing at quarterback.
I agree. And when you run through a team like Miami, who had just got shellacked the week before and wanted to come in here and prove a point, man, Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill are just way too fast.
They are. Yeah, they're absolutely insane. I know Devon Achane's got some MRI issue going on with his knee right now as we speak. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully comes back nice and healthy and things are good there. But we'll see what happens. So good stuff. So
another another really, really bad football team.
Yep.
New Orleans ran through New England. No other way to put it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, New Orleans is going to do what they do. This goes back to what you pointed out, that as we work our way through the beginning of the season, they're going to get healthier. They're going to get more weapons back. You have Taysom Hill, who's going to be healthier with his groin injury. You have a full 100% strength of Alvin Kamara coming at you left and right. Michael Thomas is getting healthier as the season progresses. So you got that going on. I'm not liking as much out of Raheed Shaheed. I definitely want to see that guy get more action into the offense. I know they basically blew him out that game, but they blew him out with defense too. Not too much Derek Carr going on with this game. So that's where I think that it's definitely a game that New Orleans is just outright the better team. They're better than them at every single aspect of the game. And for all this chatter before the season started about Ramondre Stevenson, he's gone. He's a ghost. Him and Ezekiel Elliott, they don't do anything. And I've never been on board with either of those guys before the season started. So it is what it is. But this is a team that, for a changing of guards, like we talked about, this is a team that needs to make it happen immediately. What's his name? Not Devin Witherspoon. But the practice squad quarterback, is it Darnell Washington? Is that it? Or am I?
No, Darnell Washington's the tight end from Georgia
for the Pittsburgh Steelers. My bad. But there is a.
Let me check.
Yeah, we got to check on this. But I can tell you that this guy they got, to me, is basically he is like a rookie Lamar Jackson. He also went to Louisville, just like Lamar Jackson went to. But he is definitely a guy that I think they need to go to immediately if they want to save their jobs in New England. You have to do something exotic. I think they have a legit receiving core to throw to. They have a good offensive line. They have a good defense for sure. But there's no respect on offense whatsoever. So I think they need to just unleash this kid and just see what happens. If it fails, it fails. But he is a young, explosive quarterback. He was making really good decisions in the games that he played. They got to see what they got. What you got there, Triggs?
Malik Cunningham.
Cunningham. Absolutely, man. If you guys go back, check out his preseason tape on week 2 of the preseason. It's insane. It's also in the same game that Tank Dell becomes a household name. So pretty cool stuff. Tank Dell is extraordinary, but Malik Cunningham is even better in this game. And that's what New England needs. If they want to have any juice, any saving grace to their season, they got to switch to Malik.
Yeah, Malik Cunningham was a highlight reel at Louisville. Definitely better than Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones. But at the same time, I don't think Bill Belichick's going to run that type of offense through that guy. But I mean, they can't run the ball because no one believes Mac Jones can throw. So their offense is just shot.
It is. It is definitely shot. It is definitely that like Ramondre Stevenson can't do it. He just can't do it unless there's a legit threat throwing the ball. And that's it.
Speaking of a legit threat throwing the ball, Pittsburgh got a much needed win against Baltimore.
They did, but I think the unfortunate side of this is that Baltimore dropped several passes in the red zone. When Lamar Jackson puts it on you in a place that only you can get it, it's your job as a receiver, whether it's Rashad Bateman or Zay Flowers, to execute that catch. And ultimately, that's what cost them that game. Again, Pittsburgh is not cooking on offense. They are in first place in that division with a terrible point differential. They just have no offense whatsoever. They're 3-2 but you can really make the case that that team should be like 0-5. Like it's bad. It is really, really bad. I like the defense, but there's no, to me at this point, and I know I picked them, there's no chance that they can win this division now, especially if Cincinnati comes back. I still think Baltimore is a better team, unlike what you saw on Sunday. And to me, I think the team that wins that division is Cleveland. I think this upcoming week, we're really going to see what Cleveland is made of. And we're going to see a really strong defense with the solid offense they have this time, run by Deshaun Watson and not Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So I think that will make an absolute difference going into their week 6 matchup against 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Pickett had a QBR of like 40, which means he's
That's
horrible.
Yeah.
And Najee Harris is basically getting punished because Kenny Pickett can't throw. Najee Harris had like 2 yards a carry on 14 or 15 carries. That's just bad.
Yeah. Like, I think Najee is a solid back, but I only liked Najee his rookie year, which was the last season of Ben Roethlisberger, because of that, because Roethlisberger was a legit throwing threat. And with Pickett and Trubisky, we've never seen that. So it's a real bummer to see what's going on there with Najee Harris, but it is what it is. Between Harris and Kenny Pickett getting 12 fantasy points a week, that offense ain't cooking. I mean, I like George Pickens. He's doing some stuff, but their offense is really falling flat.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson was a dark horse MVP candidate, and then this game happened, and now I'm kind of like, well, you're falling back in line, dude.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too bummed out about that, but the fact that he is making solid throws and he looks very poised within the pocket, I like it. I like it a lot. And when he sees that things aren't working and he takes off in a very meticulous, strategic kind of way, is really smart. So even though this game didn't go the way that you'd want it to be for him, I still like the growth that we're really seeing out of Lamar Jackson. To me, this is one of the most impressive seasons I've seen of him to date. I think we're seeing real solid growth of him as a quarterback.
And then let's move on to the Rams and Philly. The big thing I took away from this was Cooper Kupp comes back and he seems like he never left. And Puka still worked out.
Exactly. I think we're going to see a little bit of how this this offense morphs and gels. But they definitely had their way with that secondary of Philadelphia. So between Puka, Cooper Kupp, and then you got Tutu Atwell taking care of action outside as well. It's a solid offense they got going. This was the team that I thought Jonathan Taylor would get dealt to. But it still looks like that they pretty much have a solid offense. They're going to figure this out. They'll be a good team. And they got that outside chance of making the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there with these guys. I mean, Philadelphia was definitely a tough matchup, but I don't know. Like, I think Philadelphia is going to kind of use this game to figure out what they need to improve on in their secondary, and it'll help.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams basically got 2 number ones, and if Williams can start churning a little bit, I mean, yeah, it was against Philly, so Philly's pretty stout up front. The Rams could be a sneaky playoff team that nobody wants to play against.
Exactly. Yeah. And even then, too, like going 2 weeks ago back, I felt like they had no business losing that game to Cincinnati. They basically avoided the whole script that everyone's had against Cincinnati, except for Arizona. I don't know what happened there, and we'll cover that. But to me, I think St. Louis has a real case that they could be like 4-1, and they're legit like that.
By the way, I think we both called them the St. Louis Rams.
Oh, totally okay. Still the greatest show on turf. So that's all that matters. LA, St. Louis, regardless, you're the Rams. We think you're the greatest show on turf. So that's all that matters.
Speaking of Cincinnati and Arizona, Joe Burrow's back. The 4-letter network is going to go bananas. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but the big thing you got to take away here is that this is against Arizona, who got torched by Brandon Ayuk the week before. So everyone is finding out that you can put your number one receiver against Arizona and just light it up. I don't know if they've played the Rams yet or if that's coming up, but if it is, I mean, I would expect big time numbers out of Puka Nacua as well. But that's the thing is like this might be one of their softer matchups, and I know James Conner went down in this game too, so that takes away the Achilles heel of running it up the gut against Cincinnati and doing that kind of damage. But the moment Jamar Chase started to take off, that's it. Cincinnati is a team that if they get ahead of you, you're more than likely not catching up against. So it is what it is, but not every team Cincinnati plays is going to be as bad as Arizona. So that's why I still don't think that Cincinnati's for real. I got to see it against like a Baltimore or a Cleveland. It's got to be against some of these legit offenses. I don't even know if they play Jacksonville or something like that, but I don't think Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is everything it takes to win.
No, Cincinnati is. I think everyone else is kind of caught up to them, and not only is the Joe Burrow kind of figured them out.
Yep. Yeah. And not only that, like I don't think their head coach is that good. I do like what they have going on defense right now. I think their defense is really starting to step up and move themselves in the right direction. But Joe Mixon's not good anymore, and I know T. Higgins is banged up. So now you're basically putting everything on the shoulders of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and we're only 5 games in. They ain't doing that for another 12. They're not.
So one of the things I noticed about this week in football, and it's kind of helping us go through a little faster, there was a lot of horrible football played this weekend. Mind you,
Yes,
the
there
next
was.
game is the Nathaniel Hackett Bowl. What's up?
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's the Nathaniel Hackett Bowl, and yeah, there was a lot of bad football. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely seeing that more with even with the Jets. I know people want to talk up Zach Wilson and whatnot, but yeah, you got to be careful there. I mean, their schedule coming up is not looking so gravy either. They have the Eagles coming up in a few weeks. They have a bye week coming up, and then they have a real gauntlet of teams coming up after that. So it's not so great. Denver is kind of what we thought, not really a good football team, but still has some things starting to click on offense. Jaleel McLaughlin is stepping in real nicely for Javonte Williams, so I like that. We'll see. I mean, I think Denver still has a terrible, terrible defense, and that's going to do them in, and it might come back against Russell Wilson as well. But yeah, two rough looking football teams here. But I don't know. I get this weird feeling that still the Jets are going to hang around. If you play good defense and can run the ball successfully, you're going to hang around. And I just get this weird chance that, you know what, Aaron Rodgers is going to say, like, he's going to go for broke. If he tears his Achilles twice in a span of like 4 or 5 months, so be it. But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go for it and do everything he has to. So if they have a shot, he's going to play in one of those final regular season games to get him into the playoffs. I just think the Jets are going to keep hanging around.
Yeah. I just saw your boy, I believe that was Meyer, just put a smack on somebody. It caught my attention.
Hey, there you go, man. Hey, Halloween 2.0. It's what, only 31. Wait a minute. Yeah. It's only like 22 days away, you know? So Michael Myers getting excited, you know?
But the thing I noticed about that Zach Wilson and Russell Wilson, wow, I'm losing my mind.
Oh, you went Wilson to Wilson.
We're gonna call them the Wilson brothers.
Can we bring Garrett Wilson in just for giggles?
A combined, might as well. We got all 3 of them.
There we go.
But you can tell, just as last year with the Jets, the skill players are so good. If they just had a competent quarterback, they would torch teams. And that's what Aaron Rodgers should have been. Um, but they had a combined average QBR of 30.
Between the two of them?
That game was horrible.
I don't know if we ever went through my
Zach Wilson was 40 and Russell Wilson was 20.
Yeah. And shout out to everyone in our fantasy league. I picked up Zach Wilson. I started him. He's gone. I am done with him. He will be back on the free agent market just like he should be in the NFL. Gone. Like, telling you guys, he is not worth your time. He's taken what he's could from Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers, and it's just not good enough. Like, he will find his way back to Utah and he'll live a good life, and that's it. But yeah, it's just not good enough, and I just don't see it happening. My ideal trade scenario I was hoping for them to actually make this push was to trade Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers to Minnesota for Kirk Cousins, and then trade straight up with Indianapolis, trade Breece Hall for Jonathan Taylor. That's what I wanted to see.
Well, that sounds nuts. You're just trying to rip all the good teams off.
Absolutely. Make all sorts of wheels and deals.
So, speaking of Minnesota, the only good football game this weekend, in my opinion, Minnesota and Kansas City.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of that game, and it definitely showed how dependent Mahomes truly is with Travis Kelce. Like, Kelce is the life and blood of that offense. He goes down, it is a whole new jar of wax with that Chiefs offense. They pulled away in that game, but you wonder too how much of that is dependent on Justin Jefferson exiting that game as well. So I know Minnesota doesn't have a good defense, but they still kind of played well with Kansas City. And honestly, Minnesota minus the Justin Jefferson injury, I think Minnesota has an overall better offense than Kansas City in that game, which is why I think it came out to being fairly close.
Except the one big deal, and I got into a battle with Alexander Madison is not as good as people are saying. I mean,
I've never
their
thought
run
that.
game is almost non-existent, which is why Kirk Cousins has been throwing the ball for like 15 million yards.
Yeah. So my question
game.
with it,
like they
yeah,
don't.
My question with this is, if that's the case, where is Cam Akers? What's going on there? Because he should be the one.
He ran the ball like 5 times.
Hmm.
Madison ran it like 8 or 9 times. They basically split the carries, and they were both like, whatever.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right that still that offense is built with a game plan of let's abandon the run and air raid that offense as hard as they can. But now losing Jefferson, that changes things. That totally changes things. They have to become more balanced now that Jefferson is out for a foreseeable future. And from what it already sounds like, this is like,
right.
This ain't the minor hamstring
but Addison
issue. And KJ?
Yeah, minor.
But yeah, I mean, I just think that this is a more serious injury with Jefferson than they're leading up to, which is why it's going to take more Jordan Addison, more KJ Osborne. It's good that they are kind of a yin and yang to each other, so that helps. You got one guy that's more slot-oriented inside with KJ and one more that's outside, deep pass dominant in Addison. And then you just have that big baller of TJ Hawkinson. So I like that. They have a nice offense, but they're going to have to utilize Cam Akers now. Like that, they can't keep waiting on that for any longer. You made that trade for a reason.
So one of the things I noticed about this game with Kansas City, they're super dependent on Kelce, like you said, but Justin Ross and Rashee Rice are slowly creeping up that target board. And those guys could just blow the roof off the place.
Nice. This is our Rashi Rice, Justin Ross, working your way up the ranks trophy. So shout out to those guys. Good job. Good job. I like that.
True story.
Yep. Good deal. Yeah. Rashi Rice is definitely the guy. I like
And
it.
then, yeah. And then look how fast we got through this. The
We're
last
cruising,
game,
man.
which was supposed to be the greatest game of all time, the NFC Championship preview, the Dallas Cowboys just got dog walked. I mean, geez. San Francisco is just that good.
I'll ask you this too, because I had this feeling going into the game. Actually, coming into Sunday, there were two games that I thought would just be absolute blowouts. This was one of them, and the Dolphins against the Giants, I thought would just be an absolute bloodbath blowout. Just run up that boat race score as high as you can. I also ask you this: if the Dallas Cowboys had Trayvon Diggs, do they still get blown out by San Francisco?
Ooh, that's tough.
Because I think they do. I think San Francisco is so bona fide and elite that the real issue here is Dak Prescott. The fact that he is a turnover machine, that is the problem. And we've covered this multiple times. If an offense can't stand on the field, no matter how good your defense is, and this Dan Quinn Dallas Cowboys defense is elite, but the biggest Achilles heel to it is Dak Prescott. So if that's the case, and it's not just Dak Prescott, it's Dak Prescott and the fact that he only has one receiving target to throw to in CeeDee Lamb. They are still missing Amari Cooper. They thought they would get more out of Michael Gallup before he had his real bad injury last season. So it's basically just CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. And then for the people who have Tony Pollard, I'm one of them, we can't do anything because Tony Pollard's not going to do anything if there's no respect for the passing offense.
Right. I mean, Dak Prescott with 3 interceptions. He basically completed more passes to the other team than his own team. And like you said, Pollard only had like a handful of carries. And then I can't believe I'm saying this, but Brock Purdy might be the MVP right now. The award is more of a quarterback-driven award now, and they have the best record in the league. He might be the MVP.
So I hear the talk, but still, no way, man. You and I have been on this together, and we're saying it because our mathematics back it up. He is terrifying in fantasy, the most bona fide number player, and he is the best player on that team. And if we're going to give it to a player on offense on that team, the player we're giving it to is Christian McCaffrey outright. There is nothing that has changed in 5 weeks that has told me the best player on offense is not Christian McCaffrey. The whole reason for us in fantasy why I was not able to draft near the top 4 is because I solely wanted Christian McCaffrey. He is the best player. Whoever would have the ability to draft in the top 2 of any fantasy league, your number 1 player had to have been Christian McCaffrey because not only does he catch a football, he runs a football. And he can even throw a football once in a blue moon. But look at what he did last week and tell me that that is not the best player in football. And tell me that too, because the one thing Dallas did well last night is they actually contained Christian McCaffrey because they were terrified of the guy. So that's it. I still think he got in for a touchdown as well, if I recall. So he still made something happen. But
he did.
Yeah. So Brock Purdy, you're a nice story and all, but Matt Ryan won an MVP trophy with your head coach. That doesn't mean you're going to get an MVP with your coach when you got a guy like Christian McCaffrey on your team. That I don't buy. I do buy that Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback. I don't buy that he's necessarily a great quarterback. That's going to take more time, more maturity to get to that level. And actually, like, we have to get to a point where we're like, hey, this guy scares me and he'll be able to put up 303 on any given night. We're not there yet. We're just not. And
see, this is the thing though. He leads the league in completion percentage.
sure.
He's leading the league in QBR. He has a 9-0 touchdown interception ratio.
Good.
Like trust me, I would say Christian McCaffrey every day of the year, but the voters like to vote the best quarterback on the best record team. And Brock Purdy basically hasn't made any mistakes. I don't know.
True.
It's a fun debate.
And I get that people do that, but at the same time, he has done nothing to terrify you and take the top off a defense. What did he do yesterday? Well, he didn't have much distance to go on the field because Dak Prescott is a turnover machine. So it's real easy to score points when you're starting on the other team's 40, if not closer, side of the field. So that offense is going to churn. And what makes that offense churn? It's Christian McCaffrey and the good play design and play calling of Kyle Shanahan. So yeah, Purdy's good. He's solid, but he's not great. No way. He's not like an Aaron Rodgers in his prime. And if people want to vote and get all hoity-toity about numbers and whatnot, you can do it. But you're really doing yourself a disservice saying that Christian McCaffrey is not the best player in the National Football League. That's for sure.
I mean, he is top 10 in every statistical category, and he's got the highest QBR and the highest quarterback rating and the highest completion percentage. He's number 8 in yards, number 7 in touchdowns. Like he's kind of having an elite year right now.
Yeah, he is. But how many touchdowns are we at for Christian McCaffrey already? It's got to be 10 by himself, which he had which he had almost all of last season combined.
Seven. He's got 8.
Oh, okay. So he's got 8 touchdowns at a position that's harder to score touchdowns than quarterback is. And if we're going to be legit honest about the numbers, we got to be legit about that.
He leads the league in rushing too.
Gotcha. Exactly. He leads the league in rushing. Just going off of the math that we know off of fantasy, basically all touchdowns not by a quarterback are about 2/3 more valuable because they're harder to come by. So with that being the case, Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns are much more valuable than Brock Purdy's touchdowns and leading the league in rushing, just like you point out. Plus, he does stuff in receiving as well. So to me, that's the most impressive thing I see out of Christian is the guy's just an absolute weapon. Just scary on offense. And even in the game yesterday, like how they were so focused on McCaffrey, the other guy that was running his routes and was still able to do the scary things in the goal line that Christian McCaffrey does was Kyle Juszczyk. So you could almost say Kyle Juszczyk's touchdowns are somewhat dependent on Christian McCaffrey's threat.
Hey, I'm with you. Like I said, I would pick Christian McCaffrey, but just the narrative of the NFL and how things go, like they may pick the top quarterback on the number 1 team in the NFL.
Well, if that's the case, then we're going to have to take this and we're going to have to ship it to Christian McCaffrey and tell him that he's our most bona fide number MVP player because he's our MVP. If that shenanigans happens, he's getting this trophy, at least.
Boom.
Boom. You heard it here first. There you go.
That's kind of the same. MVP, bona fide. It's the same thing.
Absolutely. Ours is much more respectable and much more numbers driven than just this all willy nilly give it to a quarterback kind of thing.
Prestigious.
Prestigious. Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, have we made it successfully through all these games?
We did.
There
we
we
knocked
go.
them all out.
There we go. That is how you do it. We knocked it all out. We got some action going on here with Green Bay and Vegas. And so far, the game is, like I said, that it would be a low scoring affair. Looks like what we got something
This
going
guy.
on with. Yeah. So it looks like we got something going on with Vegas driving downfield and some 4th and short situation going on here. Yeah, and he made it across the line of scrimmage. How about that? As a first down, and Raider Nation is happy. And
hey, man.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah. There you go.
Your TV's a little faster than my TV.
Ooh, I got a faster television set. How about that? How about those hookups? I think I'm. It's because I'm hot wired directly into Vegas with my television, because you know I'm doing that. So yeah, exactly.
That's kind of shady.
It is shady. It is shady. That's why we're the dark side of the NFL, and in a galaxy not so far away as well. So yeah, good stuff, man. Boy, Josh Jacobs looks like he's a man on a mission. Good stuff. Yeah.
It's weird. The number 8.
Yeah, the number 8. That is the number we love here at No Debate Sports. So good stuff. And yeah. So some good play out of Green Bay there on defense. So looking pretty good on that play for you guys. And now we got a 3rd and manageable coming up. So this is where I want to see that bunch package of, I want to see Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow. Possibly, actually here I'd want to see either Amir Abdullah if we can get out of it, or Josh Jacobs if you guys bring the house. How about that? How about that?
The Packers don't blitz. They don't know how.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, that's exactly what we need, because if you want to beat us, just bring the house on Jimmy Garoppolo. He is so bad under pressure, man.
Did you see that? They played a zone. Everyone backed off. They were past there was not a defender at the first down marker. They rushed 4 guys. How do you expect to stop anybody?
And we had like 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. So I'm pretty sure we had Amir Abdullah out there just going out for a pass. And that is definitely a false start on you guys there, Triggs. That is a little hot. Kenny Clark.
But why would you only rush 4 guys?
Oh yeah, I was thinking you guys would bring 7. I mean, go either. I do not like cover 0, but in that situation, I think you guys can get at least away with like cover 1, like single high, and maybe have a few more guys stepping back as linebackers if you have to. I think that would have been the opportunistic way to go about it. But like you said with Joe Barry calling the defense there, that was pretty garbage.
Apparently, it's Happy Leif Erikson Day.
Oh, Leif Erikson Day. So
did you know that?
I did not know that, but shout out to our Minnesota Vikings fans out there that now you got something to tip your hat on.
Should we wrap it up so we can watch?
Oh, we should. We should. So we got that.
We're busting out. Packers beat the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But yeah, let's see what we got here. We doing a video game and a belt?
We do, I think.
Okay.
I don't know where I am here in my list of things. Oh. Dun dun dun. Whoa, flipping the camera. Bang.
Okay.
Super Scope 6.
Okay, I wasn't around for Super Scopes 1 through 5. So can you enlighten us on Super Scope 6?
To be honest, I don't know if there should be 5 of them, but it was basically a cannon that you would put on your shoulder. You know how like the Duck Hunt game had the little gun thing that you would shoot around? This was a cannon that you would just be like this. You'd be just letting people have it everywhere.
Okay.
It was nuts.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. Well, we got a 4th and 1 coming up here real quick with the Raiders. But real quick, what am I got going on? I got a Megatron belt. So yeah, dark side, silver and black. There you go, Megatron. Boom. There you go. That's a show. I'm Steve M3TR1CS. That's your boy DJ TRIGGS. That's a first down for my Raiders. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys. 7 o'clock Central. Same time, same place. Spoilers. They're here. They're everywhere. They're everywhere and in between. All of that and more. You'll see us here tomorrow at 7.